Good evening. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Commissioners, St. Charles Parish Housing Authority. Date is Tuesday, September 26th. The time is now 6:02 p.m. I call the meeting to order. Will you please rise for a Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We have, that's it. We have a new resolution, resolution number 23-09-26-04. '05. Okay, -05. That I'd like to introduce. Resolution adopting St. Charles Parish Housing Authority procurement policy and add to the agenda for this evening. This is a resolution that we had previously passed a couple of years back, but we just need to review it and vote on it this evening in memorandum so we can forward it to HUD. So that's my motion to introduce resolution number 23092605. Can I get a second?
Just to be clear, this is just to get it on the agenda right now?
Yes,
I make a motion that we add resolution 23092605 to our agenda.
A second.
All right. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That carries. All right. Next agenda item, review and approve of the board meeting minutes from the September 12th, 2023 meeting. Is there any board discussion?
Do we have somebody, a new process or somebody different doing this? I'm reading it differently and maybe even a little more clearer. I did notice that.
If there's no further board discussion, do we have a motion from the board?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
A second.
All right, we have a motion made to accept the minutes as written by Commissioner Woods and seconded by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That carries. And then we have our interim executive director's report. Ms. Prevost. You want to make sure your microphone's on, please.
All right, at this time, the board, September 12th meeting, the Housing Authority was in process of submitting 2 major work plans to HUD. On September 11th, a work plan was submitted to HUD with steps addressing the agency's deficiency under the Public Housing Assessment, FAS, and the FAS Recovery Plan consists of 4 focus areas: financial, physical, management, and capital fund. On the 13th, the comprehensive corrective action plan was submitted in response to HUD compliance monitoring review.
Yes. I don't know. We don't have a computer up there to see it. I mean, it's just the monitors are all blank in here, but we're in here. I don't know. The monitor, 2 of the monitors say meeting in session.
called my wife and said, no, we're not. They're saying technical difficulties on the TV.
Okay. Well, just keep on rolling.
So, just for the record, we are having technical difficulties, but we're going to resume the meeting. Ms. Prevost.
Okay. The Housing Authority staff with Circular Consultants, we all have begun implementing several work plans. The over-income policy, which HUD requires, the payment standards for 2024. Also working on a number of other policies that HUD said we needed to update that will be presented to the board next month. We learned that the agency yesterday must prepare prior years of the annual PHA plans and prior years of the capital fund submission to address HUD requirements. It's a 45-day public comment period, and we're scheduling to complete all requirement submission by the end of November. We're also preparing the agency, files and react, going to see if we can hire a company that's not too expensive to come in and do a mock inspection so we can see what we liking, where we can pass files this time. And majority of the staff is working to complete all repairs in Boutte Estate and requesting the board authorization to issue a RFP for siding and soffit. In response to HUD August 23rd on the audit, I'm just about complete with that. I will try to have it submitted in by tomorrow, Thursday at the latest, but I'm shooting for tomorrow. And spoke with Richard Murray. He's going to submit the SACS approval on tomorrow for the conversion.
I'm sorry, I missed that right over.
And just for clarity, what exactly does that entail and what does that mean?
That's the last step for the approval of the conversion.
Okay, and that's happening tomorrow, the
He's going to
submission?
submit it tomorrow.
Okay.
That's going to Washington.
What information is that submittal on that? What information is that submittal that you're talking about? What's lacking? What is he sending to them?
I don't have the details. I will have it tomorrow, but it was the last paperwork that HUD said we needed in order to get approval.
And that's the conversion plan.
And if I'm not mistaken, we did have an email chain today in regard to that, correct? I thought I saw
I didn't see nothing.
where, I mean, it was mentioned that it would be submitted tomorrow and that
Yeah, it will
it
be
looked like
submitted tomorrow.
everything was done up to that point.
Correct. He made all the different changes that they requested, so now they told him to submit it.
Just make sure the green light's on your mic and state your name and what you do for the record.
Good evening, Commissioners. Shelley Smith with Circular Consulting. I just wanted to add to that the local HUD office apparently does a very extensive review of the voluntary conversion plan document. They check for environmentals, they check the financial plans, and once their review is completed, then they give the green light to submit to what's called the Special Application Center, or the SAC. The SAC offices at one time had most of their staff located in Chicago, but I think they're going directly to DC now for a final review of the entire document. And so they will provide the official authorization and approval for us to proceed with implementing the conversion.
It's the inventory removal application, right?
Yeah.
To remove it, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Part 58?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a portion of it, and then the rest would be to implement and actually convert the public housing units to the voucher program.
So to be clear, we have completed what we need to do. New Orleans has reviewed, given their stamp of
The
approval.
New Orleans field office, yes.
And now it's headed to DC for that final approval.
That's my understanding.
Okay, well, that's
So
different.
it's a big,
That's good.
it's a big step.
Okay,
If I may,
Please.
Commissioners.
yeah.
The mic at the podium's on, if you'd like to use that one.
Okay. Good evening, Commissioners. Victoria Hines with Circular Consulting. Just to support Shelley's statement, even though the application is now going to the SAC, oftentimes the SAC will have supplemental questions, and that's okay. Just letting you know that once again, it's not going to be an overnight process. Sometimes they will ask for additional information. As long as you give it, they will go ahead and give the green light. I've been on conversations, on telephone calls with them. They ask their questions. We answer them. In a couple of weeks, you got an approval for the SVC conversion.
So, who is our point of contact for DC
It's-
right now?
Well, Richard, the consulting firm that Richard Murray is with, that's your liaison. That is your go-to for the SVC application process, if that makes sense. That's who the agency selected. And they're very good, so no concerns there at all.
Remember what the name of Richard's company is?
Standard Enterprises?
Standard.
It's also our understanding that Mr. Murray's firm produces a quarterly report, and I want to say that by the end of September, another report will be issued, so Ms. Yolanda will be able to provide updates, from that quarterly report in much greater detail.
At the October meeting.
Any additional questions?
I do, not particularly on the conversion thing, but a couple other
Okay.
things that she talked about. You said the two prior things that we need to send, thank you, ma'am.
You're
I'm
welcome.
talking. The two prior things that HUD wanted was our annual pH plan, and what was the other one?
The comprehensive corrective action plan. That was the one when they came over,
Mm-hmm.
and we submitted both of them.
Okay, good deal. And in our audit response, I thought when we talked last time, well, you and I were going to get a little input or participate a little bit in what her response. And you saying you turn in something tomorrow or something?
I may turn it in tomorrow, on
Again,
Thursday, but it was due yesterday
I remember us having that
Are you
conversation.
talking about the corrective action plan or
for the audit.
for the audit?
The corrective action plan has been turned in.
Right,
All we have left is that audit review.
okay, the audit review.
Did we ask for the more time that we talked about?
They told me they weren't gonna give it, not for this. But once
Okay.
it goes in, that's why I'm trying to get it to them as soon as possible.
Wow, gotta be in the city. Okay, I'm telling you what's going through my head. I thought we were gonna have some conversation prior to the meeting about it, but we didn't.
We did have some emails back and forth. I don't know if you participated in that or not, but
I didn't recall
But-
seeing it, because I was kind of waiting to engage, to be honest with you. I'm gonna just put it out there. So you available tomorrow afternoon or sometime?
Yes.
What I'm getting at, I'll stop by the office, see what your responses are, and participate
Well,
in.
I was gonna send them to y'all before I do send it, but you can come to the office.
Okay, because again, the goal is, now we have officially missed the time frame. We didn't get the extension, so we're not in compliance right now. So that's why I'm suggesting, and if with board knowledge and approval, that I'll just get in there with you tomorrow, see what the responses are, make it on the phone and contact some of you all, with the goal being, if not tomorrow, the next day or so, get that response back into them. So, Mr. Chair, with your permission here, when I just said, I just want to, if I need to
yeah,
officially ask or
no,
whatever.
if you need to go in there and put your input in, that's fine.
Okay.
I have no objections to that.
All right, then that answers all the questions. I still have more. The locks process, we got, you guys are in there and,
Not yet. Say it takes a while.
They've approved your form, though. They
Just haven't let me in yet.
yeah, they've approved everything. It's just,
They say it's a process.
Okay.
I'm approved, she's approved, we can't see each other.
I'm getting it yet. It's a process when
Yes,
they
yes.
say it, but when the process when we don't do things on time. So
Well, she
obviously
says
they're,
she knows this, so.
Yeah,
can't
they're aware
penalize
of
us
it,
on
so like there was a couple things that we had to do through that, and they said they understood we couldn't, so.
all right.
We
But,
getting there.
but look, I will say this, they did not kick back the last forms that either of us sent.
Okay.
They approved them, we're in the system, we're just not,
Just that.
yeah,
Right.
so.
Okay.
Does whatever their process is.
Yep, yep.
Okay. All right. Good deal. For now, that's all I have.
And they're in constant communication too on
Yes.
any of the reports or stuff that would be
We have a,
normally submitted through there.
Meeting with Andy every Monday or every other Monday?
Every other Monday.
And that's the HUD field office.
That's-
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
All right. Anything else thus far?
Thus far, no, I'm good.
Okay. Ms. Prevost, you have anything else you want to add to your administrative report? All right. Well, we can move on to our resolutions.
Well, no administrative reports, no hearing from maintenance, section 8, the deal. That was her report. I'm looking
Okay,
to
I
hear
can-
from.
I can give Cindy one since she's not here. For Port House searching for HCV, we have 11, 2 for LaPlace, 3 for Jefferson, 1 for New Orleans, 1 for Fulton County.
Before you continue, I just want to, we were trying to follow the agenda as it was published.
Okay.
So we can move to go ahead and,
Wouldn't come up on the administrative reports?
Yes.
That's where we at.
it can.
I'm just,
I just wanted to be clear, since it's normally a separate agenda item. So we're gonna allow Ms. Prevost to give the additional reports regarding maintenance and financials.
okay, that's fine.
All right. Seeing no objection from the board, Ms. Prevost, you may proceed.
1 from College Park, Georgia, 2 Lafayette, 1 Harris County, 1 LaFourche, 11 from our agency that's searching. Port outs, leased up, 2 for St. Bernard, 4 for St. John, 1 for Wichita. Port ins leased up billing, Kenner, 3. Jefferson, 1, Hanover, 1, Denver, 1, and Fayette, 1. Port ins searching for housing, 4 from Jefferson, 1 from Denver, 4 from St. John, 1 from Hanover, 1 from Thibodeau. End of participation as of 8/31, we have 2 that was absorbed at St. John and 2 EOPs. 1 purchased a house, and 1 stated she didn't need the program no more. Payment as of August 31st, paid $210,824.48. $202,790 was the happen URs. $3,118.48 was outgoing. $4,916 was incoming portable payment. As far as processing from the wait list, we have 6. For low rent, we have 129 units, 47 of them leased up, 82 are vacant, 1 is on mod. Amount collected for August rent, $9,147. Going to have Charles give the update on, y'all wanted updates with inspections.
Well, first, before we go to inspections, how they coming along with those units?
Where we thought they were doing 5, they're doing 7. Charles, you was gonna explain all
Right.
that, huh?
Right. They did, the original 5 they did, 1 passed for us, not being down long enough. But there's 4 of them that's been vacant for more than 6 months. So planning and zoning came out today, and the electrical panels are not up to code. So we call the electrician, he's coming out tomorrow to take a look at, and Thursday, he'll be doing them, and hopefully Friday, planning and zoning come back out, and those 4 will be available for, somebody, someone to rent them. The only reason they're not available now is because they've been vacant for, anything vacant for over 6 months. Planning and zoning has to come out and take a look at them.
These are newly renovated units
Yes.
you're talking about?
Yes, but they were down for more than 6 months. There's nothing wrong with the work they did, just the fact that they've been down for 6 months makes planning and zoning come inside the unit and they take a look at stuff.
Yes,
And they looked at the electrical panels and they say,
They
They-
discovered something that's not.
it's just not up to code, that's all, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gotta get a 6 months vacancy permit of an apartment.
Yes,
that's been
sir.
down for 6 months, and if it's not up to code for the inspection, then you gotta bring it up to code.
So that's what's going on with them. Once the guy come out and redo the panels, they will pass, the guy say, and they'll be available for move-in.
And we weren't able to get any of those on lot that we're doing work to?
Once we get somebody in them.
Wait, you got the.
I do have, four applicants that are going to be, we're just pending. We're waiting on them. The applicants are ready to move in. That's in, I think it's 4 3-bedrooms. We also have pending an applicant waiting to get into a 1-bedroom, as well as one waiting to get into a 2-bedroom. So we do have applicants waiting to take those units.
That's people off of our waiting list.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Out of whatever, 1,000, we put 5 people.
Right.
Well, we're housing people.
Yeah.
We're putting them in there, so.
Also, we had 2 incidents in the Zalman. Someone would call. It would happen over the weekend, and they would call on Monday, saying somebody went inside the vacant unit. They don't want to leave their name and number, but we called the police on both occasions, and we got our police report just to cover ourselves. You know what I'm saying, but they say they can't do nothing if they don't know who and why they're not calling when the incident is happening. Why they wait until Monday to call and say, hey, somebody was in the apartments over the weekend.
And they're pretty secure?
We got them boarded up. Plywoods on the back door and the front door. All the windows are locked.
People get desperate for some reason.
Yeah, I'm thinking what they thinking is copper in there and it's just aluminum wires. You know what I'm saying? So they go in there looking to steal copper, and there is none. I mean, that's the reason we doing, we'll be doing a conversion. We'll get these apartments from aluminum wires to copper wires.
I wonder if it'd be worth to write no copper wire in here, just aluminum. Just to let them know. So they
Well, I mean, it's been down for years now. Honestly, there's nothing they'll be able to do back there but knock that down and start from the concrete.
Yeah.
Retrain them somehow.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think that one's gonna be the one's gonna be torn down all the way, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because, there is no new, we didn't waste the money putting new roofing out there when we know we was gonna knock it down, so that's been messed up since Ida.
Right.
Now, as far as, inspections, I do inspections on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 2, Mondays and Fridays. I do maintenance work, and once I get back from 2 o'clock doing inspection work, I do maintenance work. But in the month of July, just 2 months, I did 46 inspections. In August, I did 41 inspections.
When you say 46 inspections, you're out doing our.
Section 8 inspection, yes, sir.
And you do our in-house also, right?
What you mean in-house, sir?
Inspect properties like in Boutique, the ones that we own, our properties, you inspect those also.
No, sir, no. I go out with Miss Beverly, and we do them together.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But no, I'm not the sole inspector. But for maintenance, me and Chris do the maintenance, you know what I'm saying? They call out also, I have work orders here.
But then on some annual basis or somewhere, we have to report inspections to HUD Section 8 in our public housing. So who
That
does
is the
our
public housing manager that does that.
You're inspecting public housing.
Starting October the 2nd, matter of fact, I have letters sitting on my desk right now to pass out. We're going, I heard him saying about the mock, what did he guys say about the mock inspection? But what we're doing is I'm gonna work ahead of the mock inspection. I'm planning to go out on, October the 2nd through, October the 9th. We will be going out there to get ahead of REACT before they even come. And we're not only going to be working before REACT, we're going to do housekeeping inspection as well to make sure that everything is in order before REACT gets there.
Okay.
And I'll say, make sure the tenants know about, egresses and.
Yes, sir.
That's
by
what
all
they're going to
means.
check.
Yeah, cause that's, I think we get killed, we get dinged on that one.
What I did, I've already have the list printed out, that we, I already have a list already prior, that I've already printed out to work ahead of them, because I pretty much know what they're looking for when they're coming in, such as the egress, such as the sockets on the walls, and, I think it's the chimney, for the heaters and all. So I pretty much know what they're looking for. So, we're gonna work ahead of them, and hopefully we're gonna pass. I believe we're gonna
Yeah,
pass.
okay. And of course, I want the work done, but my brain is on reporting, and that's gonna be a different
It's
tunnel.
gonna be all right.
I mean, I've got some more. Maintenance service tickets. Who receives maintenance service tickets? Say if somebody calls.
Orders.
Work orders, yeah, might say
Work
service.
orders.
Yeah.
Okay, I received.
So somebody calls in and say, hey, I got a problem, you receive it.
I received the work
You
orders.
document that, then from there it goes to,
It goes to the maintenance department.
okay. Again, what I'm trying to get at, and we're gonna talk about policies, is, some reporting that comes back to the board where we can track and see what's going on. The number of maintenance service tickets you get, how many are completed or whatever, that, Mr. Chairman, and hopefully we'll have this policy issues, that's kind of where I'm hoping we go, so that we are informed in as much real time as possible, how many service tickets, what's the status and all of that. So, and I'm telling you what my goal is getting at, if we're seeing it in current form, then I have a lot more confidence that it's going to be reported to HUD also. And why I say that, that was one of the findings. So, but it's from a policy standpoint, and I'm going to ask some more questions reference that. It's a policy conversation that I think this board needs to have.
So in other words, what you're saying is, for each month, prior month, like this meeting is about last month, you wants to see all of the work orders and see what's the status on them.
Well, pretty much the number, just kind of what he just did. The numbers, how many you got in, how many are still outstanding. So I don't know the numbers, so if you get 50.
You're not looking for details of each work order. You're literally wanting to see
How many came
total
in,
work
how many-
orders came in and how many have been
Say if we got
completed.
15 came in a month, we took
How
care
many-
of 10
and
of
how
them.
many are
many's
outstanding?
Yeah, and actually, that is one of the items that's addressed in the corrective action plan. What we envision is that there will be a statistical report on a monthly basis that the board can look at in terms of work orders, unit turnaround, and any other metrics operational metrics
that's-
that you
there you
need to
go.
see, and you'll be able to track over time, what those statistics look like. If there are areas that need, further attention, we'll be able to work with the commissioners to see
Unfortunately for-
that and to address those
For
issues.
us, all we see is paperwork and numbers.
Yeah.
And that's how we get information and digest it. So I'm just trying to get the information coming in so we can understand, and it's close to real time, what's happening every
Right,
day.
and then the whole team will feed into that, their operational statistics will feed into that report, and the board will be able to track and see those metrics over time.
Are we gonna get a status update? I know, the corrective action plan that we submitted was pretty detailed, but are we gonna get a status update, on where we're at in complying with the corrective action plan and implementing our corrective action steps?
That will also be a monthly report.
Okay,
to the board.
great.
That's what we're trying to get to.
All right.
I got more. I've been studying and reading, and so I got more, and I'm gonna get it all
Okay.
out of me because that's what a meeting is for.
And let me just say that the first monthly reports will be provided at the October meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Because that could be another question.
Yeah.
When are those reports forthcoming?
You know, did we ever get that copy of the contract with Housing Solutions? Remember we said we were gonna have that and have that for our next meeting?
I think they're on month to month, because last one I seen was for, I think when they first started.
But
I haven't
And-
seen nothing new.
But you did send that over in an email, the paperwork for them, right?
no, I didn't see it. No, last month we said that we were gonna get
We
a
would get a
copy.
copy of the report, but I thought
It's in the minutes.
something.
I don't think I sent something. I'll look for it tomorrow and send it to y'all.
I think that was the consultant contract.
No, it wasn't.
No,
It's
it was-
right here.
It was a consultant contract.
No, it wasn't, Commissioner. It's in the minutes. It says, and of course it was me who said it. You
No,
know,
it's in the minutes. I'm saying what she sent was a consultant contract. It was sent in the email.
We did get a contract.
We got circular consultant contract. That's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
it was for circular.
No, it's not HSA. HSA was requested, but we did not get that
I
contract.
didn't even get the circular then.
You should have.
Yeah, you
I
should.
don't
It
miss
Okay, your email is the Hotmail, or is it the SCP Housing?
Hotmail, the one I've
That's
been
what I've been
using.
sending.
Yeah, we've been sending everything to the Hotmail one.
I saw something from you today, but at any rate, I guess we just want to say that we still would like to see the Housing Solutions contract.
I'll send it to tomorrow.
Okay. The last thing I'm gonna say on finances, just to why reporting is just so required. Just looking at what we have gotten from Housing Solutions, we have October, November, and December financials. I didn't get to go through all of December's, but just glancing at it, I look at administrative cost. I'm not expecting a full-blown answer, but this just lets me glean information. Administrative cost is going up. In October of '22, they said administrative cost was $13,385. In November of '22, administrative costs went up to $18,703. December '22, and that's the 3 months that we last got reported on, is going up to $29,489. So I'm just saying, getting the information allows the commissioner to track, look at trends and all of this good stuff. So there's a lot of information that we're not tracking because we don't have it. I just want to point that out, that just that for the three that you gave me, that's just one item that I noticed. So that's the importance of why we need the reporting, so I can ask the question, why is our administrative cost trending up? So it's more of a statement than a question, but just the importance of the information.
The administrative costs, does that include employee salaries? What it's in? does
Or
anyone-
contracts for consultant. That's my part of my question. I was
Yes.
gonna say, what's all the meat of all of that?
Are you able to give us a little brief rundown of what's included in administrative cost?
Let's see what they have. It looks like advertising,
Let's see. This should-
benefits, salaries. And I guess phones, training, other office expenses, legal, audit. It includes all of that.
Do we know if it includes consultants also? I mean, I know that would kind of in my mind say why it may have gone up, because we did hire a consultant. We're just trying to see what caused those increases. What are we doing more or different or whatever? Again, wasn't looking for the answer for that this evening. I was just trying to
You'll have it
point it
next
out.
month.
I was just pointing out there
Everything.
is a trend, and when you get the information before you, you can track those trends. And when you start bouncing around, not getting information, skipping months or whatever, it's hard to keep a continuous tracking of how things are trending. Again, not looking for the answer, but I did want to point that out to
Okay.
kind of motivate us to get something going here.
And I would say that the admin expense probably only relates to the actual office admin and staff. It probably is a line item under like contract services or something like that for circular, because that's what they would be considered. I think they would be considered admin.
But to
we
see
gotta
that,
find out, though.
but to see that more than double in
Yeah.
3 months, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? That's all. That's just was a point of observation.
And I mean, I think to make it all easier for everybody, the next fee accountant, I think we should have open communication with, so that, you know, we need to make that a part of our agreement, so that when you have questions like that, you can go straight to the source.
I got you on that, and part of some policy discussion I'm hoping we have is where fee accountants report to the board. Yes, they get information from our staff, and they get the information, they do all those transactions, but they report directly to us. Our fee accountant, legislative auditor, all those things that are ultimately our responsibility, that those reports should be coming directly to this board. Again, just an idea, and looking to establish some policies that give direction so we get the answers that we need.
All right, Mr. Woods, you have anything further?
I do have some policies, and we're not going to try to establish them all tonight, but I would like for the board to do something where we sit back and have some discussions about policy.
All right, I don't disagree with you, Mr. Woods. We have 5 resolutions, and we do have a spot in the agenda for other matters. So let's get the resolutions done, and then we'll move on to other matters.
Yes, sir.
On the back end, just to keep the meeting flowing. All right. If no one has any additional questions regarding the administrative reports, all right. First agenda this evening, item regarding resolutions is 23092601, approving and adopting an over-income policy. Board members, you have a memorandum describing the necessity and the background regarding this resolution, as well as supporting documentation. It's a Housing Opportunity Through Modernization Act of 1916. HOTMA was signed into law in 2016.
2016.
What's that?
I thought I heard
It
you say
includes numerous changes that impact various U.S. Departments of Housing and Urban Development programs and have become effective at different times over the last several years. HOTMA established an income limitation for continued occupancy in public housing. Statute requires that after a family's income has exceeded an over-income limit for 2 consecutive years or 24 consecutive months, a public housing authority must either terminate the family's tenancy within 6 months or charge the family the alternative non-public housing rent. HUD then requires board's approval and adoption of an over-income policy, and our staff recommends approving and adopting the attached over-income policy. With that being said, in regard to Resolution 23092601, policy attached, do we have a motion from the board?
I did read this, and it does something HUD requires, so we have no choice. So if you're ready for a motion.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution 2309-2601, a resolution of the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority Board of Commissioners approving and adopting an over-income policy.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made by Commissioner Woods. He moved to adopt Resolution 2309-2601, and it was seconded by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. All right. Next resolution this evening is 2309-2602, approving and adopting 2024 payment standards. The United States Department of Housing and Urban Development establishes fair market rents annually. Usually after October 1st, public housing authorities are required to set their payment standards for the Housing Choice Voucher Program between 90% and 110% of the fair market rent. In a tight and competitive rental market, it has been beneficial for housing authorities to set them at a high level to provide adequate housing for families. Approval and adoption of payment standards at 110% of fair market rent is the action required for this resolution. The staff does make recommendation that the board approves and adopts the payment standards at 110% of fair market rent. Having already received your package and reviewed the memorandum and the policy and the payment schedule, do we have a motion from the board?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that Resolution 2309-2602, approving and adopting 2024 payment standards.
All right, we have a motion made by Ms. Jackson. She's moved to approve the resolution 2309-2602, a resolution approving and adopting 2024 payment standards. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
That carries. So adopted. 2309-2603, authorization to issue requests for proposals for siding and soffits at Chadbourne Boutte Estates. The Housing Authority owns public housing units at Chadbourne Boutte Estates. The units have missing and falling siding and soffit. Weather conditions and events such as Hurricane Ida have led to accelerated deterioration of the buildings. A request for a proposal is needed for the repair and replacement of siding and soffit at the property. The staff recommends that the board authorize the interim executive director to issue an RFP for the repair and replacement of siding and soffit at Chadbourne Boutte Estates. Board, having reviewed the memorandum and the resolution, do we have a motion?
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Is that the building on the corner that's fenced in?
That's not included.
No, that's the
That's the
complex, the rest of the complex, sir. Not the building that's inside the fence, no, sir. That's not what this resolution is about. It's about the other units that need the siding and stuff replaced.
Okay, and I'm thinking brick, and you guys talking about siding. Okay, all right, that's why for clarity here. So that building where the bricks are missing, we're not doing anything with that at the moment, or?
No, sir. No.
That's not happening. Okay, so just for all the other buildings. Okay, all right.
This is just a RFP, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I would. How bad is the side?
Pretty bad.
It's pretty bad, like you
We have
said.
openings.
Okay, so things are getting in. Yeah. Okay.
Just not the siding and the soffit underneath.
Yeah, I've noticed some of it. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right.
I just want to make sure it was like not just cosmetic. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pass a motion that we approve resolution 2309-2603.
Right, we have a motion made by Commissioner Bailey to approve Resolution 2309-2603,
Second.
authorizing issuance of a request for proposals for repair and replacement of siding in Chadbourne Boutte Estates, and it is seconded by Commissioner Woods. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Resolution 23092603 is adopted. Resolution 23092604, authorization to issue RFP for fee accountant. Housing Authority uses a fee accountant to prepare its financial statements. It has been using HSA for several years on a month-to-month agreement. Housing Authority is evaluating the services it receives from HSA and desires to issue an RFP to consider several options for a fee accountant. Action required, authorization to issue an RFP for a fee accountant. Staff recommends that board authorize the interim executive director to issue an RFP for fee accountant. Having reviewed the memorandum and the accompanying resolution, do we have any discussion or a motion from the board?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we pass Resolution 23092604, authorizing issuance of a request for proposal for a fee accountant.
All right,
Second.
so moved by Commissioner Woods and seconded by Commissioner Bailey. Cast your votes. Yay? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that carries. Resolution 23092604 is adopted. Resolution 23092604, resolution adopting St. Charles Parish Housing.
05, sir.
05, excuse me. 23092605, a resolution adopting St. Charles Parish Housing Authority's procurement policy. This is a policy, as stated earlier in the meeting, that was adopted by the board, revised in 2019, but was not memorialized, and therefore we're bringing it before the board today to be adopted. If there's any discussion or a board member would like to make a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that resolution 23092605, resolution adopting St. Charles Parish Housing Authority procurement policy.
Second.
We have a motion made by Ms. Jackson and seconded by Commissioner Woods. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes, and our procurement policy is adopted. Any other matters from the board? Commissioner Woods.
Yes, just want to talk about the possibly, I think we may have talked with our consultants about doing some policies or establishing some policies, particularly being direction from the board and things reporting to the board. Some of the things that we're trying to address would be a policy established like no housing authority business done on personal computers. I'm just putting this all out there and looking forward to sitting down with the consultants to try to develop some of these with, of course, the board's approval. But a policy that would creates no housing authority business on personal computer, but where a legislative auditor is hired by the board and reports to the board, hiring policies for employees, travel policy, hiring policies for professional services, policies for the use of electronic signatures, policy to retain documentation for background checks separate from applicant files. And these that I'm going through now were some of the findings were in our compliance thing.
Ms. Prevost.
That will be coming next month. All of that you mentioned.
Okay, let me finish my list. I'm going to get them all on record, and then we're going to go from there. Policy for checking the registered sex offender list, policy for handling personal identifying information of employees and our residents. A policy that establishes that this board will evaluate the ED annually, and a policy where the ED will evaluate all the employees annually. Again, I know we're trying to get a lot together. We made commitments that we want to set up things where future boards have direction and stuff. So that's where some of this, I'm hoping, helps us develop that. And as I think our consultants are going to be working with us on some policy issues, I'd like to get those in the mix, create the discussion, and either we help develop it, Yolanda or whatever, but we all get together and develop these policies.
I have something to say on two of the policies you mentioned. As far as evaluating the ED, you have that in the contract. As far as evaluating employees, we have to evaluate the employees for civil service. So that's something that's supposed to be done anyway.
Again, I get all of that, but how I ensure that I've met my and the board's responsibilities is that we establish the policies so we know we have given direction for these things to be done. So when it doesn't happen, we can say somebody's not following the policy. So I get what you're saying, but I'm just trying to get all of this written down, not just for us, but I'm trying to think in the future. When future people are here, we want them to have some sense of direction and what to expect. That's my main reasoning.
So what you're saying is that you want policies stating when you will check it, say like y'all want to report every 6 months or every year or something, and you want to report from it. That's what you want written in the policy?
Here's how I see it. If we have in the executive director's contract that the executive director has to meet certain criteria and it's evaluated on an annual basis, if the board chooses not to do that evaluation, then the board is at fault. But by creating a separate policy for the evaluation of the executive director, it could fly in contrast to the actual executive director's contract and open up a liability.
I don't think that's what I'm trying to do. That's not what I'm trying to do.
You can have a policy as simple as stating to the effect that the board will.
Contract needs to have a evaluation.
That the board will evaluate the executive director annually as per contract.
I get that. I understand all of that. I'm trying to develop something that a future commissioner coming on this board will have policies and have some expectation of what to expect, what to look for, and what to ask.
Right. I don't disagree with.
So I'm not going to ask for anything that the contract doesn't allow for, or what civil service doesn't allow for. But I want a future commissioner to be able to open up our established policy book and know what to expect. That's where I'm coming from.
Can we create a policy to be more or less like a guideline?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think what I may be hearing is that you would like a personnel policy, a broader personnel policy established, or a personnel handbook.
I like the idea of a handbook in regard to these two issues specifically, other than a formal policy, because once we have a policy, it could lead to an issue where one conflicts the other in regard to either civil service or executive director contract.
Right, he's asking for more of a guideline for future board members.
But to have the guideline in place
Right.
and a policy that establishes that we follow guidelines.
Yes.
Right.
In order that there's a system in place.
Right. And it would address the issues that you mentioned. For example, how annual leave and sick leave are paid to employees, how the evaluations are done and when they're done on an annual basis. You know, those personnel issues would be addressed within the
It's almost like
within
an
the
operating manual.
but would address those personnel issues that you mentioned.
And in those guidelines, would that also include then how, well, we talked about earlier how staff reports to us too, if it's maintenance reports or whatever, different things. Can that be a part of those guidelines also?
Sure.
It could be, certainly.
Yeah.
It could be.
Again, we're just trying to, 3 years from now, when none of us are around, which I hope we all still alive
Oh,
somewhere.
Right.
look, absolutely, I agree with
We
you.
said that was the commitment.
You need a
we made.
guiding document, you need understanding, because when someone new takes over in the board, or
Right,
takes a
right.
seat on the board, they can move forward and know what needs to be done, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, we hear what you're saying.
But what my biggest concern is we don't want to, number one, tie anyone's hand to something that then would stand in conflict and open up a liability. So where we have policies governing the actual role of the agency and how we operate in specific terms, those are good, but in a very real way, employment and contract, all of that is kind of a separate animal in itself. And you don't want to put something in place that then prevents you from moving forward or opens up liability down the
Right, 'cause
road.
and I also think what you're getting at too is that if we have a policy in place, like a policy in place for an ED, each ED might have a different metric they need to be graded on depending on the health of the agency. So each ED contract will have different things that need to be evaluated. And if you make a policy, then a strict policy just on how every ED should be governed or evaluated, then we're not focusing on what the actual thing. It would change from when Yolanda became the executive director, interim executive director, from when we had Ms. Hollis, from when we had Mr. Bell. Each one of them had different things they needed to be take care of and be graded on.
But to have a guideline in place to say, this is what needs to happen. It needs to happen on this date every year, or by this date every year, and this is the discussion that needs to take place. And then you can refer back to the ED's contract for what their actual contract says their performance standards should be.
Right. And another example would be that employees, say on an annual basis, would have to have ethics training.
We have them, we all.
Those
require
things
it.
would be included
Included
in
in
that handbook.
I think you're getting the gist of what we're reaching for up here, so that's what I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
but it would be in a handbook and kind of everybody would know, okay, on an annual basis, you participate in this training and you certify that you've taken the course. It's being done.
Yeah.
But again, this would all be captured in a handbook to
So
kind
we
of
can
guide
give
the
to a future.
operations.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
So we've hired them, we've got them here. So I'm just hoping, Mr. Chair and the rest of the board, that moving forward, hearing these ideas, Circular can begin to put something together for us that addresses all the concerns that we've heard. up
And-
here this
and
evening.
one thing-
If they plan on delivering it by next meeting, hopefully
Well,
they
well,
start it.
let me just say,
No, not saying
we
next
will
meeting.
be burning the midnight oil. If you
Not-
look in that corrective action plan, we have a list, I call them the pipeline policies,
Mm-hmm.
that have to be updated and many of them created, as new policy.
Okay.
And the October deadline, I mean, there are a number of policies,
Mm-hmm.
several of which you've already mentioned.
Okay.
There's also, there's a cost allocation policy, internal control
Yes, big one,
policy,
big one.
sex offender policy, document retention, file maintenance policy. We'll be working on CMAP documentation, which happens. Many of these tasks, they're going on, but they need to be documented in policy and procedure or either updated
Yes, ma'am.
in that regard. So we'll be working on a number of those items. There were 2 items, I believe, mentioned in the auditor's report. One relates to IT, an IT policy,
Yeah.
sexual harassment policy. That HOTMA provision, which took place back in 2016, it's going to influence a number of housing authority policies. And so we'll be trying to make sure that all of those policies are updated because HUD has a strict implementation timeline for HOTMA, and that is January of 2024. So all of the sweeping policies have to be, captured in the policy documents and scheduled for implementation by January. So we'll be working on the admissions and continued occupancy policy on the public housing side, updating the administrative plan on the Section 8 side to make sure that all of that is ready to roll out by January.
Okay.
So there are a number of policies and, already in the pipeline. We'll be working closely, with the board to get that done.
Okay.
And finally, educating the staff on the policy updates, because we know that that educational piece has to happen in order to have a successful rollout.
Okay.
All right.
Last questions. We did do the advertising for the ED, and did we get any responses? And when are we going to talk about that process?
It just, when the Herald come out? Thursday?
Wednesday or Thursday.
Okay.
In the latest issue of the Herald, it was published. So now that it is published, we can then now begin advertising in more national.
Okay. So I'm gonna think, so 30 days from now, Mr. Chair, we're gonna be having a meeting. I'm gonna think that by then, because if we've published it out, we've had some responses that maybe we can schedule now, make sure an executive session is on our agenda for next month to have discussions of what that process and all is gonna be.
Review applications, et
So,
cetera.
yeah. And with that, that's it for me.
All right, and Commissioner Bailey.
Yeah, I just had a question, as to regard to when a person purchases a property, and that already has a Section 8 tenant in the property.
Okay.
Okay, so, typically, when people buy a property, they have in mind what the fair market value rent is and what they can potentially get for the property. So they're hoping that, when they purchase the property, that they can increase the rent. So if it's a scenario where the lease is on a month-to-month basis and the HAP contract has did its full year term, I know typically when I deal with this with Hano, if that's the case, then I can submit a form asking for the rent increase signed by the tenant and the property owner, and then they'll do their rent reasonable study, and this is all considering that it's not still under a year contract. They'll do the rent reasonable study, and then they'll get back to me with an approved amount, and then ask for an addendum.
That's my understanding, as long as they're not under a contract.
Okay. Okay, I just want.
Understanding.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that, there's a particular person that purchased the property. I want to make sure I tell them the right thing.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, any further discussion this evening? All right, seeing none, we're now open for public comment. If anyone would like to address the board, you may do so now. Seeing none, do we have a motion from the board?
Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion by Commissioner Woods to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Jackson. All in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is now adjourned. The time is 7:06. Thank you all.
Thank you.